Okay, good. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We're delighted to see everybody. And we're especially delighted during this season of creation to have our own Sister Ann Marie Kery uh, guiding us through a second look or a third look or a fourth look, depending on how many times you've looked at the encyclical of Pope Francis Laudato Si, the care of our common earth, common home. So we know Anne Marie is a member of our congregation. She has a BA from St. Francis College in Brooklyn, a master's from Providence College in Rhode Island, and her doctorate in theology from Fordham University. Anne Marie has spent over 50 years in various types of educational positions, from teaching elementary school to teaching undergraduate students, graduate classes, and Doctor of Ministry classes. Anne Marie also served as a demonstration teacher for Paulus Press and presented teacher training sessions for religious education teachers in both the Diocese of Brooklyn and the Diocese of Rockville Center. During her position as Research Institute at the Lawrence J. McKinney Chair at Fordham University, Anne Marie worked alongside of Avery Cardinal Dulles, S.J. Anne Marie, now retired, is presently writing a book about the late Cardinal Dulles. So, Anne Marie, we're really excited to hear you and to have you. Thank you so much for doing this for us. I know you worked long and hard on it. So we look forward to hearing you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. I just have a couple of housekeeping things. First, could everybody mute themselves during the lecture? We're going to put it on speaker view, so you won't be able to see each other, but we'll be able to see Anne Marie and hear her. If you have any questions, we're going to have a question and answer session at the end of the talk. So during the talk, if you think of something, you could type it in the chat box or just jot it down. And then when we get to that section of the evening, the question and answer, you can raise your hand and, ask the question yourself. Okay. Any questions before we start? Housekeeping? You all know how to mute yourselves? Yes, you're done. I see it. Okay, good, wonderful. So, just Irene, mute. Okay, and everybody else. Okay, good. So, here we go. Just speaker view, and we'll minimize that. Take it away, Anne Marie.
Thank you. You have to put me on speaker view. Or I'll do it myself.
I just put you on speaker view in my computer. Do people have to do that themselves, Angela? I don't know if you
I'm
can.
not on speaker view.
We can all do that individually if it's easier.
Anne Marie, say something.
Hello, but I can't get on speaker view.
Well, you're on speaker view.
No, I'm not. I see you.
We can all do it individually, Anne Marie, if you would like.
I want the speaker view. That's what I want. But Angela had me on it before. I don't know what's happened now.
I only have you on. Yeah.
And I only have you on, Patty. I don't have, okay, now we are. Okay, let's
All right,
start now.
good.
Okay, so good evening. We are now a little more than halfway through the season of creation, which began on September 1st and will end on October 4th, the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, just 10 days from now. I have been asked to share with you some reflections on the relationship between theology and the environment. We Dominicans are trained to contemplate and then to give to others the fruits of our contemplation. In that spirit, I offer the following presentation to you. I am sure that many of you are aware that this is, I don't know if you can see this, the 10th anniversary of Laudato Si, written by our late beloved Pope Francis. The opening words by which the encyclical is known refer to the greeting written by St. Francis of Assisi in the 13th century, praising God for all God's creation. While there are probably several reasons why the Pope chose Francis as his papal name, in this document and in many others, he called attention to what was happening to the environment we all share. When I took out my copy of Laudato Si again, I immediately was impressed by the subtitle, Care for Our Common Home. That phrase forms a thread which runs through the entire encyclical, and it is a good place to begin our reflection. However, I'm going to treat each of the 4 words in backwards order. Home. It is a word like no other. It brings up memories, stirs the emotions, and asks us to delve deeply into the meaning it has for us. I would like you to think about your experience of home in the next few minutes. Some of us have lived in many situations, so just choose the one that stands out for you. Is it your childhood home? Your grandparents' home? Your college room dorm? Your first apartment? The home you created with your spouse and raised your family? What feelings come to the surface right now? Now look at the home you chose above all the others in which you have lived. What is so special about it? Homes are usually places of shelter, of welcome, where one is accepted for who they are. Home is that place of sanctuary where laughter and tears are shared, where success is celebrated and the sense of personal failure is diminished. In short, home is the place where one just can be oneself rather than needing to earn or deserve approval. Unfortunately, not everyone has a positive experience of home. Home is a sad place for some, where life is not nurtured nor celebrated. Yet even in these instances, there is a realization that home could and should have been better. Have you ever thought about the earth being your home? The earth is meant to manifest all of the positive characteristics of our individual homes. Some indigenous people have used the expression Mother Earth to describe their relationship with their surroundings. What do mothers do? They give life and nurture it so that their offspring will grow and flourish. In this encyclical, Pope Francis encourages us to think about along those lines as we make decisions that will affect all of us on this planet. Common. The earth is our common home. It belongs to all of us who live on it. In the 1990s, there was a popular song by Bette Midler which speaks of this reality. It is entitled From a Distance, and the lyrics are as follows. I won't sing them for you because if I do, you will immediately all turn off your devices. So the lyrics are as follows. From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped white mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope. It's the voice of peace. It's the voice of everyone. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of everyone. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just cannot comprehend what all this fighting's for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. And it's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the heart of everyone. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves. This is the song for everyone. 2 decades before this song was written, there was a beautiful picture of the Earth taken from the moon's orbit by astronaut Bill Anders on Apollo's 8 on Christmas Eve, 1968. The picture was truly taken from a distance, entitled Earthrise, and profoundly influenced the environmental movement. According to the BBC, it showed that the Earth was this vulnerable sphere in space. Yes, this view of Earth was truly from a distance, as I said. The land and sea masses were obvious, but not the boundary lines of various countries. These boundaries are necessary ways for a country to protect its land and people, but they are artificial, man-made constructions. Often these boundaries are set up by the victors in a war, without the consent of the people living in that area. In my own small family, we have knowledge of such a situation. My great-grandmother, Rosa Herzog Keck, was born in the province of Alsace-Lorraine when that area belonged to France. In fact, my grandfather, Frederick Keck, would always say that his mother was French and his father, born in Hamburg, was German. However, in 1870, Alsace was given over to the Germans. It was handed back and forth between Germany and France 4 times until 1918, when Alsace was again returned permanently to France. It seems to have been a tennis ball thrown back and forth by people outside of either country. To my knowledge, the residents of Alsace were not involved in the negotiations. Unfortunately, even today, the fate of countries is not decided by this, with the citizens having a say in their own future. To whom does the land belong? Woody Guthrie tried to answer this question with a song he wrote in the 1950s, which is now over half a century ago. But the truth of his observations remains true today. This land is your land, this land is my land. I'm sure you're familiar with it. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I was walking that river of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was saying, this land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining, and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there. And on the sign, it said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That sign was made for you and me. In the shadow of the steeple I saw my people. By the relief office I seen my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking along that freedom highway. Nobody can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This song is often used in patriotic celebrations, especially the 4th of July. But do those who happily sing the words really understand what Guthrie was trying to point out? Among all the natural beauty we share, there are signs to keep people from entering a particular space. Yet there are not the same signs for those on the inside who want to come out. And unfortunately, some people are seen as they are waiting in line for food. Guthrie asks a poignant question in the midst of this song. Is this land made for you and me? Was it ever? Think of the slaves who were brought from Africa and for the most part were treated cruelly and without human dignity. Families were ripped apart, women's bodies were violated, and individuals were sold like cattle in the public square. Even a civil war was fought in order for the economic system to remain unchanged and profitable for the landowners. It took a presidential document, the Emancipation Proclamation, to free the slaves, and several amendments to the Constitution to grant them citizenship and the right to vote. But can these people agree that this land was made for them and me? In 1852, before the Civil War and ensuing legislation, Frederick Douglass, an escaped slave living in the North, was asked to deliver an address at a 4th of July celebration in Rochester, New York. He bravely admonished the audience with his words, "The blessing which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me." Immigration has always been a global problem. Do countries have the right to decide which nationalities are welcome and which are not? In the midst of the 19th century, a movement began in upstate New York officially called the American Party. Its adherents, mostly from working class and middle class backgrounds, wanted to restrict immigrants, for they feared that these newcomers would take away their jobs. Another reason was that most of the immigrants at that time were of the Catholic faith, and there was a fear that these believers would have more allegiance to the Pope than to their elected officials. There was a desire to focus on the, quote, ideal and therefore perfect American, unquote, who was portrayed as a young white man. When questioned about their principles, members of the American Party would answer, I don't know. Hence, they became known the Know-Nothings, an apt and accurate designation. The movement lasted only a little more than 15 years because the members were divided on the issue of slavery. However, their core beliefs continue to be seen today in the United States and in some other first world countries. Today, thousands of people are leaving their homes and trying to enter other countries where they can live and raise their families in peace. For the most part, these are sincere people who have been displaced because of climate change, natural disasters, and political upheaval. Certainly, there are criminals among them, but not to the exaggerated claims of the leaders of some countries. Today, these displaced persons, and that's what they were called after World War II, and in my opinion is a more accurate and kinder term than aliens, are sent from pillar to post as countries nationwide do not want to accept them. Care. The first word of the encyclical subtitle and my last word to be considered at the beginning of this presentation builds on the previous three aspects considered already. Every one of us is called to care for the earth and enable all creation to grow and flourish. But there are those among us who make light of our present global situation. They adamantly refuse to admit that there is a problem. Others put their heads ostrich-like in the sand and claim that the problem is not theirs. They will be content to let others take the lead in changing things, and if no change comes about, c'est la vie. Both groups are happy with the status quo and are not interested for caring for the earth or for other people either. This is not a new phenomenon. It has been going on for centuries. In the early days of the Spanish takeover of Hispaniola, Bartolomé de las Casas presented Bishop Fonseca, who was ruling Spain after the death of King Ferdinand, with the account of what was exactly happening in Hispaniola, stating that 7,000 native children had been murdered in just a few months. Bishop Fonseca replied, "Look, this is simply stupid. What do I care? What does the king care?" Okay, let me get back on here. Okay. What does the king care? Las Casas was horrified and retorted, "It doesn't mean anything that all these souls were killed? Great God Almighty, then who should care?" Las Casas' penetrating question loudly repeats itself today. Then who should care? If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Pope Francis provides the rationale for our care in Laudato Si. Keeping the thoughts in mind that we have just said, let us look at the encyclical more carefully. You probably have recognized some of the present situation in the examples I already gave from history. The opening chapter sets before us the current state of affairs as of its writing in 2015. Climate change has become a reality. Global warming is increasing at a rapid pace. Species of plants and animals are disappearing, and natural resources are depleting. What is the cause of all these unfortunate attacks on our home? For the most part, Pope Francis attributes human activity as the source of problems in our environment. Another insight he presents is the connection of the state of the environment with the plight of the poor. In the Pope's words, the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor are intertwined. They cannot be separated. As the environment suffered, those people most affected are the poor. The entire second chapter of Laudato Si is devoted to looking at the two creation stories in the Hebrew Bible, which are also the first two chapters in the Christian Old Testament. The Quran has its own creation story, which differs from the Judeo-Christian one, but the three major world religions attribute the act of creation to God. In the first chapter of Genesis, we find a very formal description of creation. The account is sometimes referred to as priestly or just, quote, capital P, unquote, as it was probably used in liturgical ceremonies. After each aspect of creation, light, sun, sky, etc., God creates the human beings, male and female at the same time, and creates them in God's own image. Then God charges the humans to have dominion over the rest of creation. That one word, dominion, is the basis of how creation is to be treated. And in my opinion, at the same time, that word is at the heart of our problem today. The first meaning of dominion in every dictionary I consulted is authority. The second meaning is, quote, stewardship, unquote, which means a more accurate description of God's intention. If humans are made in the divine image, as just stated, then it follows that they are to act as God would act. God looked at all that God had made and saw that it was good. God didn't say that humans should pillage the rest of creation for one's own needs, or even worse, one's own wants, but should exercise stewardship, aka care. The other account of creation is found in the second chapter of Genesis and is called the Yahwist, or simply capital J, um, quotes capital J, unquote account. This account was written before the priestly virgin just described and is more informal. Here, God is acting in an anthropomorphic way. That is, God acts more like a human would. God tells the humans to till the soil and cultivate it. Tilling and cultivating mean to tend to the needs of creation and provide those actions which enable it to grow, thus fulfilling the divine purpose. Neither one of these two creation accounts is a scientific explanation of how the world came to be, but are a religious attempt to reverence God as the ultimate reason for being. Pope Francis rightly says that religion is not meant to take the place of scientific investigation, and the reverse is also true. If this was the divine intention, then how did we arrive at the point we were in 2015? In fact, reading the encyclical again, now yet 10 years later, we realize that many, if not most, of the issues Pope Francis emphasized are still current in 2025. Pollution has become a critical force affecting human health and activity. If the air is not clean, breathing is adversely compromised. We found this out 2 years ago when the smoke from the wildfires in Western Canada and the United States really came our sky, and we were even told that we should stay in. In large cities, cases of asthma, especially in young children, have rapidly grown. Pollution has another disastrous effect on contaminating the water supply, especially in third world countries. Pope Francis insists that water is not just another commodity, but it is a fundamental need for life. A continual supply of adequate clean water is absolutely necessary for all living beings. Here in our country, we do not usually have a problem with our water supply, but in recent times we have become more aware of our dependence on the place of water in our daily lives. A few years ago in Flint, Michigan, unhealthy levels of lead were found in the drinking water. Closer to home, in recent months, communities along the Hudson River, both in New Jersey and in New York City, and several towns on Long Island have lost temporary access to their water supply because of water main breaks. While this latter situation is due in most cases to deteriorating infrastructure that is approximately a century old, it emphasizes our need for daily activities such as personal hygiene, preparing and cooking meals, and household cleanliness. Often, like many other routine matters, water is not appreciated for its inherent worth until it is no longer present. The situations just cited were resolved in a relatively short time. But what if they weren't? Pope Francis called attention to the plight of the poor in accessing clean water in some places. In some places, there is just not any way to obtain it, or the trip to where it is accessible is long and difficult. One of our own sisters, Sister Flor de Maria, has been sponsoring an after-school program in the towns of Sol Naciente and Once, El Salvador. The residents didn't have running water in these cities. With the assistance of Rotary International and the Rotary Club in Orange Bay, New York, as well as donations from family, friends, our sisters, associates, and Dominican youth, a new well was provided. In 2023, just 2 years ago, the well was completed and dedicated. One gentleman from Unsay commented that for over 20 years he didn't have clear water. Sister Flora's contribution to the care of our common home may seem a small step on the global stage, but to the people of Sol Naciente and Once, it means everything. The encyclical devotes a whole chapter to technology. At first glance, it may see that Pope Francis is placing the blame on our current environmental situation on technology. However, that is not true. He praises the progress that has been made in the fields of medicine, engineering, and communication, but he cautions against the use of unbridled technology. That is, technology that sometimes exhibits a runaway nature of its own. Advances in technology are part of the creative nature that has been bestowed on all human beings. Like all other gifts, it is meant to serve the common good. Unfortunately, advances in technology have contributed to a throwaway mentality of many people, always desiring to obtain the latest and greatest items that replace older but still serviceable ones. Consumers unwittingly or even knowledgeably add to waste pollution. The expense involved in purchasing constantly new technological devices prohibits many people from the ability to procure them for their families, thus contributing to the inequality that exists. Pope Francis is not content just to leave the present state of affairs to continue. Instead, he proposes an integral ecology, an ecology which includes nature, human, and cultural aspects. I have already mentioned some of the natural and human aspects, but it is somewhat surprising to see culture included along with the others. By culture, he means the identity of particular groups, their heritage, and their contributions to life on this planet. In fact, he goes so far to call culture a treasure. Unfortunately, the history of humanity does not always recognize the importance of others different than themselves. We only have to recall the treatment given to Native Americans here in our country and the First Nations in Canada. The treatment of the culture of these people is pathetic. They were termed ignorant, even barbarian. Yet these people had a reverence for creation. It was vastly different from the Europeans who came here in the 15th and 16th centuries, proclaiming their voyages to be for God, glory, and gold. In reality, their behavior was the reverse of that statement. When seeing the precious minerals in which in the place they termed the New World, they became greedy. The desire to make their own countries more glorious took over, and God took the last place, if any place at all. In so doing, the example of how Native Americans treated the earth was lost. For example, there was an attitude of not taking from nature more than was needed. Another beautiful custom was to think of 7 generations when dealing with the earth's resources. In other words, any decision was to be judged as to how it would affect 7 generations from the present. Now, 7 generations may seem like an abstract concept, but let's explore just how long it is. Starting with parents as the first generation, their children are the second, their grandchildren the third, their great-grandchildren the fourth, and their great-great-grandchildren the fifth. Add on the great-great-grandchildren as the sixth, and then you arrive at the great-great-great-grandchildren the seventh. Generations are usually 20 to 30 years, so let's just go to the middle of years in generation 25, and we will come up with 175 years. That's a long time to think ahead. Very necessary. Now, you may have noticed on supermarket shelves in the cleaning and laundry aisles products called Seven Generations, and they are supposedly environmentally friendly and are based on this tradition of our Native Americans. Missionaries from many countries, from many different religious backgrounds, have worked throughout the centuries not only to evangelize the native peoples, but also to help them improve their daily lives. One such person in our own time was Sister Dorothy Stang, a sister of Notre Dame de Namur. She ministered among the poorest of the poor for many years. She is best known for defending the Brazilian rainforest from deforestation by international corporations. She did this by helping native farmers to grow their produce without depleting the forest and tried to protect them from violence who wanted to steal their small pieces of land and use it for their own profit. She said that the death of the forest is the death of our own lives. Her advocacy caused her to be ambushed and shot multiple times by two gunmen February 12, 2005, just 20 years ago. As one might expect, the assassins were tried, found guilty, and sent to jail, not once, but by three trials. But then previous decisions were always overturned, and justice was never served. Earlier this year, Pope Leo XIV presided over an ecumenical prayer service honoring hundreds of Christians who have been killed for their faith in the 20th century. He included Sister Dorothy and gave her the distinction of naming her a martyr. The Pope ends the encyclical with calling for dialogue on the international scene and dialogue in decision making. While this is absolutely necessary, how can we take part in these efforts? Well, first of all, we can call and/or write to our government representatives. Some would immediately say, you can't fight City Hall. Not true. And I say that from my own experience. Naturally, the elected officials can't read every piece of mail that comes to their offices, but their aides, interns, and volunteers can and do so. Usually, their messages are counted, and the total number of pros and cons on a certain issue are given to the representatives. 30 years ago in Texas, messages were weighed. So an enterprising friend of mine sent postcards and encouraged her friends to do the same, since postcards weighed more than ordinary pieces of stationery. And even if one is no longer able to write easily or has arthritis and other conditions, you can still pick up a phone and call their offices. What else can we do? Several years ago, there was a popular expression, think globally and act locally. That is still good advice for those of us who want to make a difference in our environment. One suggestion I came across some time ago was to refrain from buying new clothing for a year. I think this came from Casas Juan Diego, a Catholic worker establishment on the border of Mexico and Texas. The intention was not to ask for donations for money, not spent on clothes, but to see for oneself, how much a part of the consumer culture one actually is. Two other suggestions are personal stories from the time I lived with a small group of sisters in Brentwood. I took care of the grocery shopping, and when something on the shelf attracted my attention, I stopped and asked myself, if I were poor, could I buy this item? I sometimes envisioned a mother pushing a cart with a baby in the upper section and a little one walking right beside her. Could she also think about buying it? If the answer in my mind was no, even though we had the money to buy it, it didn't get bought. Our group of sisters had decided on amount of money to spend on buying groceries for the poor. So when I chose items for us, I chose the same items for the poor. If name brand pasta was on sale that week, each shopping bag would have the item. If not, we all ate the store brand. On Sundays, St. Luke's Parish in Brentwood, where we worshiped, collected the bags of groceries to be distributed to a food pantry after the Masses. It's a 40-year-old memory, so I'm not sure whether the bags were brought up at the offertory or left at the back of the church, but never just left in the vestibule. We did this for several years, and when we moved into Nassau County, we were shocked that we were the only ones carrying groceries to Mass. Granted, these are homey examples, but they certainly didn't change the world, but they changed our minds and hearts. We became able to emphasize with the poor and the decisions that face them each day. And while we could never completely identify with them, we were better able to understand their situation. I am sure that many of you on this Zoom have your own personal examples of how you try to make the world a better place from where you are. And if time permits, you might like to share your thoughts with us. Of course, as Dominicans, the most important thing I think we can do that serves as the platform for any actions we do is to study. You know, we're called to study and prayer, community and service. So study, and I don't mean taking out a book or a course, although that's wonderful, but reading the newspaper, listening to television, speaking with other people to get other opinions, and when getting stories from the media, try to get both sides of the issue so that you can weigh them against one another and then make your own decision. Study is absolutely the basis for and prayer are the basis for anything we should do. In conclusion, I would like to share with you a story told by Reverend Peter J. Choi on the Catholic Mass from Toronto. He spoke of two men who were invited to a celebration at the home of a wealthy person. They stood in awe before the large, beautiful mansion, and one said to the other, "Can you believe how wonderful this place is?" His friend replied, "Yes, but I think I have something even better than this. I have enough." And that is what I wish each of you tonight, enough. And may you have enough left over to share with those who don't. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne Marie. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. So now we'll have a question and answer session. You can all unmute yourself. I don't see any
Angela is going through the questions, and she will submit them if we have any written down, and if not, we'll just turn it over to the floor.
There aren't any questions in the chat box. So if it's okay with you, Anne Marie, I'll put us on gallery view. Is that okay? Or everybody can put yourselves on gallery view. This way we can see who has a question, okay? You could use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, or you could raise your physical hand.
Angela, are you there?
Yes, you can't hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
she is.
Sorry, I've been talking. You didn't hear anything I said?
No, I heard you.
I heard you.
Oh,
Angela, I can't hear you.
you can't hear me? So can everybody else hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the whole thing? Okay.
Anne Marie, it must be
Perhaps you
something.
should take me off the speaker view.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have you off speaker on my computer. You'll have to do it yourself on your own computer. Put yourself on gallery view. Do you see it? Do you see gallery view, Anne Marie?
Angela, no.
She can't hear you, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's what she said before. She couldn't hear you.
Okay.
It's interesting. Never
Yikes.
happened before. Huh. Um,
Mm.
Can Anne Marie hear anyone? It's not.
I can hear everyone except for her.
Is she muted?
No. Anne Marie, can you hear any of us?
disabled.
No, I guess not. All right, let me send her a chat or put a chat.
Oh, dear.
Does anybody know what setting will allow her to hear us all?
No.
No. Are we assuming that the problem is that she has herself on speaker view? Maybe.
No, she's on a computer.
No, I know that,
Yeah.
but instead of gallery view, that she still has herself on speaker view. Maybe it's something as simple as that.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm just.
Oh.
This is interesting. This has never happened before.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Maybe someone can call her.
You're still muted. Anne Marie's still muted.
Yeah. I can call her. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Maybe if I can make a suggestion, the rest of us can take a few minutes of silence, just with the wonderful
Yes,
thought.
Angela, I did.
Oh, there she is.
There you go.
Good.
Okay. So we can hear you, Anne Marie. Can you hear us?
Oh, dear.
No.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Is her speaker,
Now I'm off.
can you hear
You're
us?
just on speaker view.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. I just saw
But I
you.
still can't hear anybody.
Oh, dear.
Did she put herself on gallery view?
Yes, she did.
Check your audio. Can she hear us?
Yeah. No. I don't think so. All right, let's see. Okay.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Oh, good.
Oh, right.
Okay, good.
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 All right. So Margaret, why don't you lead us a little bit?
Okay, let's, Anne Marie, thank you for that lovely presentation. Let's just take a couple of minutes of silence with what Anne Marie, there were a lot of provocative points in that presentation, a lot of challenging points. Let's just take a moment and allow it all to wash over us. So, questions, comments, reflections? Anyone?
Can I just make, it's not a question, but it's a comment, and I thought, Anne Marie, you said many wonderful things in your presentation, so thank you. One of the things that resonated very, very deeply with me and that I thought was wonderful came at the end when you were talking about consumerism and how you lived in a community a number of years ago that intentionally opted out of that. And I related to that very deeply. And you offered what I thought were very, very simple, but actually very profound suggestions for how people can do that themselves. And one is stop buying clothes. You know, we all have, uh, you know, every cloud has a silver lining. And one of the great things that happened in my life because of COVID-19, when you know, because I was practicing law at the time and I could no longer go to court, and then it became a virtual thing, and I just stopped buying clothes. And you know, you realize you just don't need all this stuff that you buy all the time. So your idea of take a year and just don't buy clothes. And when you go to a supermarket, I don't know.
Yes, and you know, if that seems too overwhelming, you could start small, you know, like for the next season or the next 6 months, and you could like build up if that strikes your fancy. But it does show how we are really part of the culture of consumerism. I think that was a term either um, started by Pope John Paul II or by Benedict XV. If not by Benedict, he used it a great deal. And not only does it add to the throwaway, to the excess getting rid of things, but it also adds to the pollution and the use of water and the use of electricity that are involved in making the new items. So, in cutting back, we might be doing a lot more good for the environment than just helping ourselves to be more, uh, what would I say, accepting of the condition of the poor.
Margaret?
To just piggyback on that, a lot of people have done some work with, once you buy something, you're responsible for it. So first of all, there's no away. We talk about just throw it away when you finish with it.
Yeah.
So if you think about that beautiful photograph of the planet from outer space, there's no away. So once you buy it, you're responsible for it. And keeping in mind that there's no away, what will you do with it? How will you recycle it? How will you be responsible for it? So that's another piece. If you do buy something, what are you going to do with it after you finish using it?
And speaking of discarding things, you know, there have been um, trash piles all over the place, you know, with all of the waste. There used to be one right on the borderline of Oceanside and Island Park, where my family lived in the latter town. And, you know, you would pass, it was just getting bigger and bigger. And well, they've done away. I don't know what they did. We don't live there anymore, but apparently that has been cleaned up. But once I think I was in Southern Virginia, and they had a tourist attraction, and it was called Mount Trashmore. Has any of you ever heard that or seen it? And anybody? And it was, you know, they took like a trash pile and they made it into a tourist attraction. And you know, it's funny and everybody laughs and they're taking pictures of it and whatnot. But I was thinking about Mount Trashmore when I was writing this and saying it's not really funny.
Not funny.
You know, that we took something that um isn't really good for us, all this trash around, and we made it into an object of enjoyment. You know, now maybe I'm getting old and fuddy-duddy, having had a birthday yesterday. It could have happened. And so but I often think of Mount Trashmore. I wonder if it's still there, and it's hard to track it down because I don't remember where I saw it. I think it was Southern Virginia, maybe on the Tennessee or Tennessee border, but I'm not sure.
Anybody else? Reflection?
I have so,
Marie, Sister
yeah,
Marie.
Thanks, Margaret. Anne Marie, I loved what you did with the songs
yeah.
in the comments section. And it reminded me of something that I've been paying attention to lately. And that is, where the population around us are finding the common, fixing the common spaces. And one of the things I've been noticing as I travel around in my car is the different towns that are planting flowers on the side streets. You know, if you go through any of Lindenhurst or Amityville Village, you see that people have beautified or tried to beautify the common space. And how important that is. And I keep looking for the places where I see that being tended to, in whether that be in looking at a program with an orchestra and seeing how people are coming together to make something beautiful, make beautiful music, make beautiful places. So I think we have to do the both end. We have to stop destroying things and using things thoughtlessly, but also to notice the places where things are growing and changing, and people are paying attention and taking responsibility for what's in front of them in their towns and in the local places.
And actually, what you were saying, Marie, about both end, I mean, that is a very typical Catholic expression. It's not that it's either or for us, it's both and. And I think if we paid more attention to that, things would get better in general.
Peggy Warren, you had your hand up. And you're muted, Peggy.
Oh, Peggy,
She's
you're
trying to unmute
muted,
herself.
Peggy.
She's trying to unmute
I'm
herself.
trying to unmute.
Ah,
Hey,
there she
good,
is.
good.
Well, number one, I want to piggyback on the presentation in terms of, I think the clarity of Anne Marie's presentation makes me want to show it to the people in Dominican Village, because she definitely used examples that would be meaningful for people of our age group. Sometimes it's hard for people to really understand where we're coming from. We've been saying this for a very long time, even in our song. So, Anne Marie, I thank you, and I probably will try to use this with the residents, because I think it, you know me, I'm big into trying to make people know this is the season of creation and everything that we can do.
Excuse me, Peggy, I have the copy of it here. If you would want me to come over someday and to do it in person, I'd be glad to.
That would be it really would be wonderful. Yeah, because they love it when the sisters come. Absolutely love it. But the other thing that I think is really terribly important is that we realize how we can find places that do recycle what we have. If somebody says to me, "Sister, I don't know what to do with," I take it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I take it, because I don't want it to go into landfill. And I want people to understand that it is a responsibility of all of us, as Margaret said. If it's ours, we can't just throw it in the garbage. We can't just put it in the landfill. And there are more and more places, a couple of them in Amityville and Lindenhurst, where things can be recycled. But I think it's very important, and one of my bugbears is plastic. You know, I refuse to use plastic water bottles. You know, it's all those simple kinds of things. And I think that every time we model a behavior, we might change one or two other people in terms of what they do. You know, those of us who live in Dominican Village, every floor has a water purifier. So I go down, and when I need water, I go down, I fill my containers and I bring them up. But I think it's a matter of modeling behavior for people in every small way. But I really, Anne Marie, I have to commend you. I think your presentation was at a level that was right at home. It would make people understand, most especially for the group of us who are not 20 years old, using our language, using our songs, using what we have experienced. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Ditto. So I live in Connecticut, and we have a lot of buy nothing groups in the towns up here. I don't know if you know what that is. So it's an online community of people in a specific town or area. And if you have something that you want to recycle, you know, just to give it away, you take a picture of it, you put it online and say, this is a gift, you know, who can use it? And you'd be surprised. I live with my two little grandsons live with me, and one of them knocked over the TV one day and it broke. So my daughter put on Buy Nothing, does anybody have a TV that they're not using? Sure enough, a few minutes later, she gets this message from somebody saying, I have one, you can have it, you know? So it's that kind of a community where it, you know, it's
That's great.
taking in, yeah.
Wonderful. Wow.
I think a lot of towns, maybe Amityville has one, you know, you need to just go online. I didn't know about it until my younger, you know, my kids told me about it. So yeah, but it's really great. Yeah. So just put it out there. Mariana?
I just want to say that we do have one in Amityville.
You
and
do?
It includes Amityville, Copeg, Lindenhurst, Massapequa, the whole surrounding area. And that it really is nationwide. And people are doing that. Every time I open up my computer, I find all these items that people want to give away for nothing. They just leave it on their front doorstep and somebody comes and picks it up. And but I really want to thank you, Anne Marie, because it was a wonderful presentation. And happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Yes. When we were, I love the examples that you gave. And one thing that kind of jumped out at me, the realization how words are so important. And even in the way that we speak about the environment to each other and our love of the earth with each other. When you mentioned using the word displaced persons instead of aliens, you know, when you hear the word alien, right away it brings up fear. But when we use the word displaced persons, we see a person there, a person who, for very serious reasons, has been displaced. And I think words are important. I just have to realize, even in my own conversations with people, and we can talk about this in conversation, you know, what we're doing, like the examples that you gave. And I think you'd all be happy to know that in Amityville, there are no more water bottles.
Yes.
Period. It's something that the Mother House Care Creation has been trying to do for many years now. And finally, we bit the bullet and Jennifer just does not order it, period. And all the sisters were given bottles in Carlin Hall with their name on. And Peggy, as you were mentioning, over in Dominican Village, each floor, you know, has the water fountain. And we do the same thing here at the Mother House. So that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And I think we have to share those good things with each other.
Mhm.
So thanks again.
Well, Mariana, when you say displaced persons, I hadn't thought of that term in years because when I was in elementary school in the late 40s to mid 50s, we had a lot of children coming into Ridgewood. I was in St. Bridget's Parish, who were from countries in Europe where, you know, somehow they had to get out and they came to this country and didn't know the language and all that. They were in our classes, but they were always known as displaced persons.
Mm.
And in the
Mm.
encyclical, reading it over for the umpteenth time, that word jumped out at me because the Pope used that. People are being displaced because of mainly, he said at that point, environmental things, like there are droughts. Africa, Southern Africa, is in a terrible state of famine at the moment. And then you have the wildfires, you have all these other things that are not contributing to climate change, according to some leaders, but we all know they are. And so these people are displaced because of that. And I think that's a wonderful word. Alien reminds me of a sci-fi movie. I
Yeah,
don't particularly care for them.
yeah. You picture a little green man from Mars.
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's even better than refugees, I think. I mean,
Mhm.
refugees is a step up from aliens, but
Yeah.
but
No, it's,
displaced person, it has a whole different feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
and just
Denotes compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're seeing them as persons
Well,
who happen to
it's
be
human.
displaced, human. Yeah.
And we could all say there, but for the grace of God go I.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's an accident of our birth that we're here in this country. We could have been born someplace else,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, and we have to be grateful for that, that we
Mhm.
are not displaced. We are in place, and place is a very important um, concept. That's why I started with the idea of home,
Yeah,
Mhm.
wonderful.
which is the
Mhm.
last word in the subtitle. And have you thought of the earth as your home? And how do you treat your home?
Mhm.
I
Right.
think your insights were very helpful, and you gave a lot of different ways that we can all participate. Uh, and I think that was great.
Thank you.
Jeanette, you had your hand up.
Yes,
Did
I
you wanna
was, certainly want to thank Anne Marie. She gave me a lot to think about, as she gave all of us. But what came to mind when you gave the examples was my simple mother. Because when we were growing up, she would always say, you don't need a light on in every room. If you're in the room, you can use it, but turn it off. And the other thing she always used to say was, you should have everything you need, but you don't have to have everything you want. And it's a kind of a good rule to live by.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Smart mother.
Yes, she was.
Mhm. Ellen?
I have so many, Sister Ann Marie, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I have so many thoughts. You put so many things into my head. One being the generations. I have great nieces and nephews, and I always wonder what it's going to be for them as they get older. You know, worried about it. And then I think to myself, well, and that would be the our part. It's up to us to teach them so
Mhm.
that they have this tomorrow. They don't need always the bigger and the better, or every single time a new phone comes out, to get that phone. You know, it comes down to the parents, the communities, to help them realize, you know, so many times I'm in a park and I see someone or even driving, believe it or not, throwing garbage on the floor.
Amazing.
You know, it takes like 2 minutes to just throw it out in the garbage where it belongs. Doesn't belong on the floor. It depends on what it is. If an animal gets it, they can get sick or choke or anything, but you really have me thinking, and that word enough. I have hit that word finally in my life, realizing that the material things aren't important. It's the relationships, it's the people around you, it's time. It's not so much the material things. So thank you so much. You opened my eyes.
Good, I'm glad.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
Shh, finches.
Yeah, and Marie, the whole presentation was just so inspiring to me. You know, the way you began it, you know, with the whole presentation, or the beginning, the setting, you know, use of the song, the words, and then getting into the whole sense of Laudato Si and the sense of home. It was a real gift. Thank you so much, Anne Marie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you. Yeah, I was very anxious over this presentation. I mean, I'm giving lectures all over for years, but you know, with computers, there are always the problem of glitches. And you know, if you're giving a talk and the mic doesn't work, you get off the stage or you walk around or you project your voice. But you know, here you're hostage to the glitch. And I was also wondering, you know, if what I was saying was really able to touch your hearts, that maybe you were looking for something else and disappointed in what I was presenting. But a secret to any talk I ever give is to pray for the people who will be listening and asking the Holy Spirit to direct what I write to them. So
you did it.
Amen. Well,
Holy
thank you.
Spirit.
Great
Thank
job.
you, Holy Spirit.
It worked.
I think Corky was trying to get in, Angela.
I too would like to thank you so much, Anne Marie. It kind of brought me back to my home a bit growing up when you started that, you know, where I grew up. And my parents were immigrants from Ireland, and my father was a farmer in Ireland. And we did have some property, and he had a farm going, you know, with tomatoes and different vegetables growing in the backyard. And sort of like even too, the memory of that. And then when I had moved on to Elmont, we had a farm, a little bit of a garden, a vegetable garden in the convent area of St. Boniface too. Then I became then involved in Homecoming Farm. And then lo and behold, I'm out here now in the Huntington area, Centerport, Northport area, and two of the local churches, the Congregational Church in Centerport, has a farm on their property. The Episcopal Church down in Northport has a farm on their property. And they are looking at not using really pesticides and things like that for the growing of the vegetables and everything. And they are giving the produce to the poor. Now, I know the Episcopal Church, a friend of mine, Joe Martin, who's an associate, set up that whole garden there. And I went over to see it. And they've, I think it has produced close to 110 pounds of vegetables. And it has all been given to the poor in the area. So, you know, the whole sense of like farming is still continuing. And I have to say too, Marie, when you mentioned the different farms, the different plants of people taking care of local gardens, well, many of the people that have, I guess, landscaping businesses and everything are decorating different areas in the town. And likewise, yes, they're advertising their landscaping business, but it's just beautifying the whole area. In fact, there's one area that I always want to go by all the time. It is just so beautiful and inspiring. So I want to thank you so much, Anne Marie, for this lovely evening together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Yes,
getting back to
Alice?
something,
Oh, I'm
getting
sorry.
back to something that we can all do. Ellen, you said about with the younger children, in your family, and always to give them the sense in a not overbearing way, but that we all there are always people who have less than we do. And I think of a time when my sister-in-law was in the hospital being operated for a brain tumor, and I was taking care of her children. And the little, she 7-year-old, she had a teacher who did all this, craftsy stuff. And she tells me when they're all ready for bed that they have to bring in something the next day. They're going to make, how we used to make the cloves and the apples for our mothers for Christmas. Well, how can you tell a child in the hospital it's too late? So they all put their coats, they couldn't leave anybody, over their pajamas. And down we went to the supermarket. And so she takes like 10 minutes picking out her apple. All right. And then she turns to me and says, I know Daddy says we don't have a lot of money because Mommy's in the hospital, but could I have an extra apple to bring into class? Because Mommy always says there's somebody who has less than us.
Oh, wow.
Aw.
Oh, I'm
Wow.
almost crying now.
Yeah.
She was 50
Yeah.
something years old.
That's
But,
beautiful.
at that point, I would have said, buy the whole batch of apples. But I was so impressed by her. And when I told my sister-in-law, got well, and when I told her, she was absolutely amazed. She just said that as a matter of course, whenever they had to bring something into school. And she didn't think it made any impression.
Mm.
So we never know, as you said, the words we use.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Alice, I interrupted you.
Did you want to say something?
Can't hear her.
Can't hear her.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Is she muted?
No?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe it's volume.
Oh,
I can't find her even.
up at the top.
Marie and Ellen.
We can't hear you, Alice.
Maybe type it in the chat box. Oh, we can't hear you, Alice. Oh, she says, thanks, everybody.
Here's Alice. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
I can't read her lips. She's saying something.
Yeah.
It's
Here you
dark.
go. Can you read that? So Alice says, Margaret's comment about being responsible for the things we buy after we're finished with them. Let's see. Is there more to it?
Way. Mm.
Yeah, she likes what you said about being responsible for the things that we buy after we're done with them, because you can't, there's no a way to throw them,
Right.
Yep.
Thank you, Alice.
That was wonderful, Margaret, when you said that. That requires a lot of thinking on that and, how we don't really think about that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it helps in not buying,
Right.
If you think, oh, what am I going to do with this? Then, you think, "Oh, I don't want that responsibility. I'm not gonna buy it."
Right. Yeah.
Right, right. So there's a second part to that comment. I'll read the whole thing. Margaret's comment about being responsible for the things we buy after we finished with them spurred me to investigate places that will further use them, like the vets and St. Mary's Hospital for Children. Okay, got the whole thing. Thank you.
Now, today is the feast of St. Vincent de Paul, and
Wow.
I tried to look up this quote. I think, Margaret, I might have heard it from you years ago.
Oh, I think I know the one. Go ahead.
Wow.
About when we give something to the poor, we have to give it with a sense of apology for being part of the system that is keeping them poor.
Well, it's a little bit, I think the poor will only forgive you the bread you give them because of the love with which you give it. That's how I
Oh.
remember it.
Oh, that's beautiful. But the one
Yeah.
I'm thinking of is, that in our own mind, we have to have this sense that we are part of systems that are not helping the poor.
Mhm.
And that so when we give something to them, it's actually from a position of apologizing that we are in those systems. Marie, you're shaking your head. Do you remember that quote?
Well, it's something like we have to ask forgiveness of the poor for our charity to them. I'm paraphrasing it, but it is that idea of,
Is that St. Vincent de Paul?
yes, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, yeah.
Appropriate, today's his feast day. Okay, I have to go.
Anybody else? Comments, questions? All right, well, thank you, Anne Marie, once again from
Yes,
all of
thank you,
us.
Anne Marie.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you for all the work
Thank you.
that you put into it.
Thank you.
Can we remind people about the October 4th event?
Mhm.
October 4th at 11 o'clock, hopefully in the grotto outside. We're going to have a celebration of Teilhard's Mass on the World. It's going to be a beautiful celebration. The story of it, we've been putting the background of it every week in TPC. But basically, it's how he prayed when he was in the desert and there was no bread and wine, and no altar, and how he used the things of the earth to create his own celebration of the Eucharist in that situation. So it's going to be lovely. If you're able to come, we'd love to have you.
Good.
11 o'clock. Bring a lawn chair with you too, if you can.
And you have to register for it too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would help.
I tried to go on to register for that, Margaret, and also the 2 evenings you're doing earlier in the week.
Right.
And I wasn't able to find where I could register. I was all over looking for it.
Huh.
If you go to wmft.org, that's our website, wemoveforwardtogether.org.
Right.
You'll see postings for Margaret's and also for the Mass on the World. If you just click on the pictures, it'll take you to the description page, and there's a registration link and directions, on how to register on the bottom of that page.
Okay, thank you, Angela.
If
I'll
you
do
have
that right away.
problems, just let me know, and I'd be happy
Okay.
to help. Okay?
Is,
And Margaret, go ahead.
is the grotto next to that koi pond?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So
Not next
park,
to it, it's behind
park in
it.
Dominican Village
Okay,
and walk over. If it's raining, we're going to be inside in Regensburg.
okay.
It's
Okay.
not raining, Margaret.
Okay.
No.
Not gonna rain.
Thank you. Good. Thanks. And then you're invited to stay for lunch.
Thank you.
Inside.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, just that everybody knows, I'm pretty good at navigating things, but I find it much easier to go into wemoveforwardtogether.org and go from there and go through the community website.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if that helps.
Yeah.
wemoveforwardtogether.org. Right now, the podcast just pops up automatically, but all the other things are underneath, and it's very,
Right.
I find it much easier to navigate.
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's free too. Everything is free except some of the artwork shops.
Yep.
Some people I heard were not signing up because they thought it was $50 a course, but it is not. It's free. It's free, but that we do have art workshops that do that. The money is actually used for materials and donated a lot to the community. But the rest of the workshops that we have are all free.
Yes.
Great ministry.
Mhm.
And I don't know how many people have been looking on Monday evenings, Peggy Warren, what you do for the care of creation for the season.
That's
It
right.
really is beautifully done.
And I would just say, if you haven't done it, everything is there. From the Pope's message at the beginning of the season of creation, and it goes, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, so if you haven't seen them,
Yeah, it's very well done.
you could just use them in this last time of the season of creation, because it really is a focus point on that, you know. One more to go.
Yes.
Thank you, Peggy.
Yes, thank you, Peggy, for your effort.
Yes, thank you.
You all know what Peggy's talking about?
Yeah.
Or what we're
Yes.
talking about? Yeah, the 5 Mondays of prayer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can find them also at our website, wmft.org. Mhm. Terrific. Well, thank you everybody for being part of this. It's been very enriching being with you all. And Anne Marie, once again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for your
It was
comments and
wonderful.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Marie.
And thank you, Anne.
Good. All right. God bless you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good
Night.
Everybody.
Right. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.